Hey guys, this is Braden Smith, and hey, I just want to share my creative work with you here, my presentation here. So, I made a timeline for the US Civil War, and as you can see here, I just have the different segments of the timeline listed up here, and I'll go ahead and go through that. So, we begin in 1859. This is on October 16th. And it was John Brown's armed slave insurrections, and this was kind of what sparked the Civil War. Following that, in 1860, should only be one of those, 1860, Lincoln wins the presidential election on November 6th. Just after that, about a month, South Carolina seceded from the Union, and that was on December 20th. January 9th of 1861, the South made their first offensive at Fort Sumter. They assaulted a supply ship that was coming to supply the troops at Fort Sumter. Then, after that, on January 9th, 1861, several southern states seceded from the Union, joining South Carolina. And a couple months later there, from between April 17th and May 20th, the remaining southern states seceded from the Union, making the whole Confederate States of America. On July 21st of 1861, that same year, the Confederate Army won the Battle of Manassas, which is considered one of the most major battles and was quite the blow to the Union. Then the following year, on February 6th of 1862, Grant had a victory and captured Fort Henry from the Confederate Army. On April 6th and also on the 7th, Grant won another victory at Shiloh, but he experienced some heavy losses. Following that, on May 31st of 1862, Robert E. Lee took control of the Confederate forces, which this is where the turning point came, where the Confederate forces began to take more offensive and to have more effect against the Union soldiers, as he was one of the greatest commanders ever. So, 1863. The Emancipation Proclamation is ratified on the first day of 1863, January 1st. Then, Union cavalry won the Battle of Brandy Station on June 9th, about halfway through the year there, in 63. Then the Battle of Gettysburg was fought pretty shortly after that, on July 1st, and then that went through the 3rd of 1863. And we know the story of Gettysburg, that the Union was fairly successful and that the Confederate Army was very suffered some pretty heavy losses. They lost a third of their army in that battle. Let's see. And now we're going to head over. There are definitely some events that took place in 1864, but because of space here, I decided that we're going to go ahead and skip to 1865, where most of the large and more important events took place. So, Congress passed the 13th Amendment on January 31st of 1865. And following that, Grant won at Petersburg, Virginia on April 2nd of 1865. So, Grant, as you can see here, and we already know this, but he's one of the Union's greatest generals. Even though he's a drunkard, he seemed to have some sort of kind of God-given gift to win battles. And then, last of all, that battle at Petersburg was the last straw for the Confederate, or for the Confederate defeat. And Robert E. Lee surrendered the Virginia Army on April 9th of 1865. So, guys, that is my presentation. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you around.